Hello, everybody. Welcome here to Simon Scott Assembly Hall for Peegs.com. He's Trevor Andershock. I'm Jeff Rabjohns. We're going to get to the game here in just a minute. Indiana losing by 4, 72-68 to the UCLA Bruins. We're going to rewind a little bit, kind of cover the news of the day to start. Obviously, Brad Stevens made a comment via Jeff Goodman of the Field of 68 that he is not a candidate for the Indiana basketball job. It's not really a shock. We put him on the hot board at the top with the very clear wording that, hey, somebody Indiana is going to make a run at. People in the NBA don't think it's likely, but they're going to make a run. So as things stand today, Brad Stevens says that he's not a candidate. So, Trevor, obviously not surprising at all, but just your general thoughts on that coming out now.
I thought it was a little bit early for him to make a statement. Since he's not a NBA coach anymore, he does not have to face the media. He basically gets to choose when he does talk to the media. I thought it was a little bit early on his part to say, hey, I'm not really that interested in this job. Let's move on. But clearly it's kind of a point to not waste IU time either. Even if they want to, make another run at him, give him a firm offer, he's told them basically, hey, I'm not really interested in college coaching right now. You can go ahead and get along with your search at this point.
Right. And obviously, you and I both know other people that he has supposedly told similar things to here over the last 72, 96 hours or something. So the comments of Jeff Goodman do dovetail with other things that we've heard. So that's where the coaching search is. They'll move on. They'll continue with the other guys. We've updated the hot board. So you can go take a look at the hot board. It's pinned there near the top on Peegs.com. Read through some of the candidates as far as people who are possibilities for Indiana's next basketball coach. That said, there was a game. IU lost 72-68 to UCLA. Coach on the other side, Mick Cronin, one of the people on the hot board, he did discuss IU basketball and the coaching search. Nothing definitive, obviously, but he did discuss it. You can see everything he had to say about it there on Peegs.com. So no big bombs or anything. He was very effusive in his praise of IU's history, Bob Knight, all the resources IU has, those kind of things. But as far as the game goes, Indiana fell down early. They did fight. They did have a shot at the end. They got a shot from McKenzie and Baco, a 3 when they were down 2, had a couple other chances. But in the end, Trevor, another game where can't finish. Just, they can't find a way to finish the game.
Yeah, to go all the way back to the start, it's kind of funny. Last 2 games mixed up the starting lineup, went with Miles Rice and Malik Renew on the bench to start. But they've gotten in a hole to start both of those games as well. So I don't think it's, an indication of the impact Rice and Renew are having on the team. IU is just a team that's getting off to slow starts time and time again. Another 13-point hole in the first half tonight. They come all the way back to pull within 2 on Malik Renew's 3-point play with under a minute to go. But again, can't make the play late. You get McKenzie and Baco, that great look in the corner. He can't knock it down. You just fail to make the key play that you need to make against quality teams like UCLA, against some Michigan, against Maryland. They just cannot make that key play to get over the hump, as Mike Woodson would say.
Yeah. Certainly that's been a theme of the season. IU just can't find a way to finish, to win games where they have chances in the last 2, 3, 4 minutes, something like that. Some guys had some solid performances, but it's just kind of hard to feel like you really have to dive deeply into a lot of stuff right now. But they do have a season still left to play. They've got a week off. They have Purdue coming in. I guess as you look to these final stretches, so what are some things that Indiana might be able to do well or should aim to do well that might just give them a chance to grab a win over the rival or something of note, just to kind of be like, hey, you finished it with a little bit of pride?
Well, I like a few of the things they're doing. They're getting McKenzie and Baco open shots from 3. He just has not been able to knock them down recently. But he has not, dwelled on that. He's cut to the basket. He's hit the offensive boards. He's found other ways to score. IU just really needs him to make some shots where they get him wide open looks and he can't knock it down. Luke Goody was kind of in a similar mold this tonight. Both of them going 2 of 9 from 3. You need those guys to make shots to be quality teams, and it hasn't been happening. On the defensive side, they've thrown in that zone.
Mm-hmm.
It looked pretty good for the most part tonight. They were more active. They were alert. They were communicating. UCLA just knocked down some threes when they got the open looks and kind of pulled them out of it. But I think the zone defense is something to at least throw in there, throw out the opponent here and there, give the opponent something else to think about, something else to scout and prepare for.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that might make your overall man-to-man defense a little bit better as well, since they don't have those, simple keys to go off of. Now they have to prepare for two separate defenses, basically, two separate game plans against them. So I think overall that will make the defense better. But it just comes down to, one, getting good looks. This is not a team that gets many clean looks at the rim, in the paint, at the rim, driving to the hoop. They do not operate that well, in space, or they don't get space very often. And then they are not making the open threes.
Right.
So when you're not doing that, it's hard to win games.
Right. I will be curious when they play Purdue, what happens as far as what's Purdue's counterpunch going to be to the Trey Galloway drives that Indiana got in the game up there at West Lafayette, because that was working really well. And, like Matt Painter said, if the ball's in Trey Galloway's hands there toward the end, outcome might have been different. So you got to expect a coach at Matt Painter's level to have a counterpunch for that. And I also think as far as the overall three-point shooting for Indiana goes, there's a little bit of the old, your chickens are coming home to roost. If you don't emphasize things in June, in July, in August, in September, as far as things, hey, guys, this is what we really got to be good at, it's tough to all of a sudden get good at it. And everybody heard Woodson at times on his radio show say things like twos are still as good as threes. You got to play the game inside out. So I think there's a little bit of, when you don't emphasize the three-point shooting as this is really important, it's like there's a lot of old coaching axioms that you think of. And one of them is, you are what you emphasize. And I am not emphasizing three-point shooting being a necessary component. I think that's something that, people go, well, why is McKenzie 2 for 9? Well, part of it is he's missing shots. Sure. Part of it is that hasn't been emphasized, since June, since last year. So I think that's a little bit of the problem with any team that does not shoot well from three consistently, especially if they have some guys who are at least capable. Some of it is maybe it wasn't properly emphasized.
Yeah, and against a good defense like a UCLA or what they will see against Purdue coming up, they need to know exactly who is taking the shot, when they're taking that shot, time to score, exactly when and where they're taking the shot. Like, of course, Luke Goody, McKenzie, and Bacco basically have the green light. Anytime they get space to shoot, they should be shooting a three. The other guys, Trey Galloway, Miles Rice, anybody else basically on the roster needs to have specific times when they know they can step into a shot and knock it down. Like we saw Trey Galloway kind of force a shot late in the second half when IU really had momentum. You take an early three-pointer where he's rushing it a bit. That's not something he needs to take right now.
Right.
Miles Rice takes a couple more mid-range shots, and those are basically wasted possessions because IU did not hit the offensive glass very hard tonight. So you're wasting possessions on shots that, at this point in the season, you should know is basically a last resort.
Right.
If it's late in the clock, then you can take those shots. But early to mid, they should be passing those up and looking for Ibaka or Goodyear from the perimeter, Fallow or Renew inside.
Right. So a lot more coming here over the next few days. The Indiana basketball coaching search in full swing. You can go to Peegs.com, check out the updated hot board with updated notes on a number of candidates or potential candidates. A lot of names still in the mix at this point in time. But that'll wrap it up here from Assembly Hall. For Trevor Andershock, I'm Jeff Rabjohns for Peegs.com.